And
we're going to call the October 19th meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Baculey?
Here.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mrs. Kiefer?
Here. This time we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, does anyone desire to add, delete, or separate any items of the consent agenda as proposed? All right. So I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented for the regular board meeting on October 19th, 2020.
So move. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Baculey?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer?
Yes, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on September 21st and the special board meeting held on September 29th, 2020.
So move. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Baculey?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer?
Yes, motion carries. Are there any board members with correspondence at this time? Mrs. Luke?
Have none?
Mr. Samola?
Yes, I received notification from Mrs. Paytek for her intent to resign for the purpose of retirement effective December 31st of this school year.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Mr. Samola, would you like to continue recognizing our guests and visitors?
We have a number of guests here today. Welcome, everyone. If we could just have each of you just introduce yourself quickly. Continue the meeting.
Brady Roofer.
Angela Infante.
Dr. Swineford. Gloria Ava.
Austin Huntington.
Christy Schmidlin.
Thank you. All right. At this time, we will have Austin present to the board regarding the block scheduling.
Okay. Today I want to do like a presentation. So Dr. Convoy, but because of the amount of issue, that was not doable. So I have the packet instead. Hello, I'm Austin Pennington, and today I will be presenting you my Save the Block initiative. Our school motto is building on tradition, committed to excellence, cultivating the future. The block schedule does just that. It's a 20-year tradition of Evergreens that promotes excellence for students going to college and cultivates the future of Evergreen for underclassmen to thrive. Today, I'm speaking on behalf of the student body. The class schedule is overwhelming and stressful, with more homework and a high chance of having multiple quizzes or tests in one day and over the week. At the end of the day, the class schedule is mentally exhausting from the constant start and stop and build up a cool down of changing classes. In the block schedule, we spend more time with each teacher. This way we get to develop a more personal relationship with that teacher. This relationship creates a healthier learning atmosphere and in turn makes learning and asking questions much less intimidating. Core classes like science and government along with many elective classes like agriculture, physical education, art, technology, computer, and the culinary arts all suffer under the 8-class schedule. This is due to the fact that all those elective and core classes take a lot of time to build up and cool down, and that leaves very little time in the middle to actually do set course material. Moving on, just like the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Academically speaking, Evergreen is and has been truly excellent. A ranking from usnews.com based on state testing, graduation rates, and college preparation placed Evergreen top 17% in the nation and top 15% in the state. We had 71% math and 88% reading proficiency on state tests. This being said, why go through all the work of trying to change something that's working? The block also better prepares students for college. Colleges use a block schedule, so by using the block schedule, that is one less of many shocks of going into college. Also, with the rising number of students taking CCP, the 8-class schedule makes integrating CCP much more difficult. I have a couple of quotes from Evergreen alumni that I'd like to take a second to read. First off, we have Kyle Shaw, graduating class of 2011. He says, I believe block scheduling helped prepare me for long format classes and meetings in college and work environments. Next, we have Bev Ann Penders, graduating class of 2015. Block scheduling was one of the greatest things about Evergreen, and I firmly believe it prepared me for longer college classes. Third, we have Kennedy Kiefer, graduating class of 2020. Block scheduling is so beneficial in preparing high school students for the formatted college classes. I truly believe block scheduling helped my college transition much smoother. Now, let's take a closer look at the survey used to justify the 8-class schedule. First of all, this survey was taken 2 years ago. And although 2 years ago does not seem like that much time, with having quarantine and COVID, the evolution of Chromebook and online classes had to go by very fast, which makes that time a lot longer. Secondly, a very small sample size was taken with only 150 responses recorded. Of that 150 responses, only 60 people, or about 40%, actually saw an issue with our course options. And 43 people, or about 29%, thought we offered the wrong amount of electives. And I'm not sure if you caught on my third issue with this survey yet, but nowhere in it does it mention scheduling, which should be pretty important considering that's what's being changed. And my final issue is that the solution of an 8-class schedule actually hurts electives more than it helps. This goes back to what I said earlier. Elective classes like agriculture, physical education, technology, computer, art, culinary arts, all of those classes are going to suffer and they're going to hurt because the 8-class schedule just doesn't offer enough time in one class. After seeing how misleading this survey was, I decided to go and take a petition of my own to see if students were like me and wanted to stay block schedule or go back to the 8-class. My results were overwhelming. I got 273 signatures and only having 3 kids that I talked to that didn't want to sign it. And of that 273 signatures, 3 of them are actually children of current board members. Although I know that the opinion of students matters to you, I also realize that it's probably going to need something more. So I started an online petition amongst parents, alumni, and community members. And on this online petition, I got over 330 signatures, all in favor of the block schedule. Now, with over 600 signatures in favor of the block schedule, it should be worth reconsidering your decision to move forward with the 8-class. And with that, I would like to conclude my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Mr. Pennington, I have a couple of questions. You did a very nice job, okay? So I'm gonna kind of hold you to your points.
All right.
You did such a good job. Your first slide, you make a lot of representation. Do you have any data to support it?
Representation on,
You say kids are stressed, they're overwhelming workload, mentally exhausted. Where's your source material?
This is based on personal experience, having gone through the 8-class schedule in middle school, along with just high school. I haven't like asked or surveyed specifically that question to other students, but I'm assuming since they were I didn't have to do any convincing or arguing when I handed out my petition. They were very enthusiastic, so I'm assuming they also experienced the same.
Because you know that this has been 20 years, and I was thinking, we actually had the 8-class schedule in high school when I was here, and we changed over the block, okay? So I have a little bit, just anecdotally as well, both experiences. I mean, aren't you forgetting, though, that a couple things? One, you know, with an 8-class schedule, you have study hall time, you have a chance for more electives. We're currently planning to offer, you know, French, other electives that haven't been available for a number of years. I mean, does that have a benefit to you as a student, you feel?
Not so much, because with the current, we still have study time having the 10-minute break, and I know 2 years ago, my freshman year, before we switched up scheduling even a little bit, at the end of the day, we had that study time to work on and ask teachers questions.
Right. So, I mean, if you have some downtime, I think what we're trying to do is figure out how to better fill a student's school day to be more productive. And another point you mentioned is the CCP, the college classes. The district has to pay for students to take that. And so if we're not offering enough classes and we're driving students to college classes when they could be taking classes here, that's money that leaves our district. So, I mean, over the last 4 years, Mr. Smola ran some numbers, it's more than $200,000. So if somebody, I mean, if we're losing significant money because somebody wants to take French and they have to go to the University of Toledo to do it, and we could offer that here, that would seem to be a good alternative for us. So that was something that influenced the board's decision. I mean, we didn't make this in a vacuum, you understand, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, and I want to be respectful of the point, too, and I know the whole board is, and I know we appreciate you speaking. I just want you to understand, we appreciate this, and there are changes, and we're going to consider everything you said, but we're looking at a number of data points when into making this decision. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for humoring me on your question.
I understand. Thank you.
Any other board members? Question for Austin? Austin, your drive was incredible. Totally impressed. Thank you so much. I also did the switch in high school. Actually, maybe I was 8th grade to freshman. I might have went to my block. So, looking at it, and I did CCP and everything else. So I understand a couple of your points here. But like they said, I'd love to give you all of the opportunities here at Penn. So we're definitely going to look at everything, and we're just starting this talking. We have a faculty meeting where the teachers will start talking about it as well, and then getting it out to the public. So definitely a few more opportunities to where everybody is going to get the information that we're seeing. So, okay, thank you very much for presenting to us.
Before I do leave, is there any chance you could, or I could know when you could possibly get back to me, or we can know if it's been a success or not?
We will have another planned presentation type setup with the board in December. Am I correct? So between that, November, Mr. Samola is going to be talking with staff. There's also like a district update that'll go out to everybody. So in between there, we're looking at the presentation to be planned for the December board meeting, which I don't know the date off the top of my head. It'll be that third Monday.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you, Austin.
Thank you, Austin. Thanks, Austin.
Okay. We're going to move on to the financials. Mrs. Lou, would you like to go over our reports?
Not a whole lot to report yet. We're getting an income tax payment at the end of this month and a much better idea where things are going. If you'll turn to your pink cash summary report. I'll just point out that as of the end of September 2020, we are up $368,723 over same time last year. We have spent about $262,000 less as the same time last year, and revenues are also $177,000 less. So really, there is nothing that is out of the ordinary at this point in time. If we look at the yellow, what used to be fund sum report, now it's a financial summary. We are, as of the end of September, 1/4 of the way through the fiscal year already, unbelievably. And you can see, this report under the new software does not add up a percentage for the total general fund, but it's actually 24.8%. We are 25% of the way through the year. We are right exactly on target. So, like I said, there isn't anything unusual to report. The lavender colored form is one that actually hadn't been completed until the end of September here, because after you approved appropriations, then I was able to go ahead and plug in the numbers for the spending plan. So now if you look at this report, you will see I made a monthly estimate for every month, and then you can compare what we actually spent. Also, it adds up fiscal year-to-date estimate as of that point in time, which is the end of September, and compares it to what we've actually brought in as of the end of September. So this report will become now more meaningful than it had been up until this month. So at this point in time, if you look down at line 6.01, which is the excess revenue over expenditures, we have taken in $1,075,397.11 more than we have spent so far this year. At this point, now keep in mind, timing is everything. That can fluctuate, and I certainly don't believe that's where we'll end up. But we've got a long ways to go before we get to the end of the fiscal year. So I just wanted to point out to you that up until now, this report really hasn't meant anything until we had approved appropriations, and I was able to enter all this information. So, and this is an estimate. This is what I'm estimating we're going to bring in and spend each month. And I base this on past history. And sometimes we don't receive money the same way each year, the same time, there can be delays. So that can throw it off. So all this is, it's just kind of a cash flow estimate. And it's just a useful tool to look at the overall picture, but it's not always 100% on target either. That's really all I have. There's really nothing going on right at the moment. Like I said, will be our income tax payment at the end of October, and I'm anxious to see what that's going to be. And also, just an update, there is a pipeline meeting. Just got an email today scheduled for the statewide thing, scheduled for next week, a webinar. So I will be listening in on that and see if there's any updates that I can bring you at next month's meeting. That's all I have.
Quick question.
Yeah, sure.
On the financial summary by fund,
Yep.
capital outlay is 48%.
Yeah.
Is that buses or is that?
Yes, that's because we purchase buses. Usually, oftentimes, supplies and capital outlay will be front-loaded because of big purchases at the beginning of the year to get ready for school. But in this case, it is almost entirely buses.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions for Ms. Luke? All right, we'll move on for our financial section of our agenda. I will need a motion to approve the September 2020 cash summaries that we just went over. To approve fund-to-fund advances for $1,000 to the ESSER Relief Fund, fiscal year 21, $20,000 to the Special Ed IDEA grant for fiscal year 21, $6,000 to the Title I restricted grant for fiscal year 21, $6,271.11 to the ECSE Preschool Disabilities Grant for fiscal year 21, $3,000 to the Title II-A Improving Teacher Quality fiscal year 21. We also need a motion to approve the following state and federal grants for fiscal year 21 and to amend resources and to modify appropriations accordingly. The NBHP Employee Wellness Initiative Grant for $2,740, the Student Wellness and Success Fund for $83,889.38, the Title III LEP Grant for $705.61. We need to accept the following donations: $1,470 from the Athletic Boosters to the girls basketball team for practice shorts, $3,264 from the Athletic Boosters to the athletic department for the HiPod football camera system, $500 from the Fulton County Pork Producers to the girls soccer fundraising account, $500 from the Fulton County Pork Producers to contributions and donations on the benefit of the Family Consumer Science Program, $1,000 from the Fulton County Pork Producers to the FFA, $750 from Robert Tripp to the Tripp Family Scholarship, $1,090.20 from the Mini Viking parents to the General Activity Elementary Fund for classroom supplies, as well as $520 from Don Smith to the Wrestling Fundraiser account. We need to approve the following program cost agreements with ESC of Lake Erie West for services provided to Holy Trinity Schools for the 2020-2021 school year. The IDEAB for speech language pathologist services, $899.61. IDEAB for remedial specialist services of $10,775.04. Title I for the Title I specialist services of $4,827.82. And the last one we need to approve is an auxiliary service agreement with the Educational Service Center of Lake Erie West for the 2020-2021 school year in the amount of $68,979.68 for services of auxiliary service personnel for the benefit of Holy Trinity Schools and to amend resources and modify appropriations accordingly.
Support.
Questions or concerns? All right, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vacuoli?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Keefer?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move on to the personnel section. We need to rescind and offer the following supplemental contracts for 2020-2021 school year, pending the completion of people activity permit requirements. Brian Nagy to rescind the weight room 1/3 supplemental contract. Joe Blystone rescind the weight room for 1/3 supplemental contract. Aaron Schmitz rescind the weight room for 1/3 supplemental contract. Aaron Schmitz weight room for a half supplemental contract. Joe Blystone weight room for half supplemental contracts. Dawn Spradlin, assistant AD, middle school AD. Cindy Polachek, 7th, 8th grade track. Molly Utzi, 7th, 8th grade track. We also need to approve the following event workers for the 2020-2021 school year to be paid from the athletic fund. Henry Roberts. We need to accept the resignation of Diane Paytek, administrative assistant, for the purpose of retirement. Mrs. Paytek's resignation will become effective on December 31st, 2020. Mrs. Paytek's service to our districts and students is greatly appreciated and will be missed. We need to approve the appointment of Brian Carroll as assistant treasurer beginning December 1st, 2020 at a per diem rate of $315.38 per day worked. In addition, approval of up to 5 days in November 2020 for training and transition purposes. We also need to offer a 3-year treasurer contract effective January 1st, 2020 to Mr. Brian Carroll, district treasurer, at an initial salary of $82,000.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vacuoli?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Keefer?
Yes, motion carries. All right, on to other business. We need a motion to change the adult breakfast price from $2.40 to $2.50 for the 2020-2021 school year.
So moved.
Support.
And this came out of the
The federal
USDA.
program, free lunches for students throughout the school year, our adult prices were not in alignment with the program, and we needed to raise it
The 10 cents, okay,
part of the program.
great. Any further questions? All right, roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vaculent?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Keefer?
Yes, motion carries. We need a motion to allow Evergreen High School student athletes to participate in the 2020-2021 indoor track and field season using the Evergreen High School name. Athletes will be under the supervision of adult volunteers that have valid pupil activity permits, and all participation will cease before the beginning of the outdoor track and field season. If approved, the Evergreen Local School District will assume no cost or liability for indoor track participants and coaches or volunteers.
Support.
Questions, concerns?
How many kids?
How many kids?
It varies by year.
It varies. Last I heard there was a good turnout for this point.
All right. Roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vaculent?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Keefer?
Yes, motion carries. All right, at this time, we need to authorize the execution and delivery of a master electric energy sales agreement between Evergreen Local Schools and Power 4 Schools endorsed electric supplier, NG Resources, LLC.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vaculent?
Yes.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Keefer?
Yes, motion carries. Mr. Simola, would you like to continue with discussion and information?
Absolutely. Picking up with the conversation on moving to a traditional schedule. This process began back in 2018 when we were looking at our strategic planning and doing a comprehensive review of the district. That review of the district included a curriculum review, facilities review, a SWOT analysis where we looked at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then a number of surveys. We surveyed students, parents, faculty, and staff. Out of those results, and there was no single question about a traditional schedule or a block schedule because at the time that really wasn't on the radar. We were looking at the big picture for the district. Where do we go that best serves our students? From that strategic planning process, there were a number of results that came out that had us then looking at the schedule and the opportunities for our students. One was the desire and need for more course options and offerings. That came through in the comment section of those surveys where it talked about curriculum and our academics. And it was requests for classes at the top end, and additional advanced placement, but also vocational classes, arts classes, and general education classes. So how would we be able to provide those because we saw the need and the desire there. We looked at the loss of students to CCP classes because of our limited options, because of the block schedule. Many of our students take CCP classes, and each year that number has been increasing. I look at it, our staff is a well-known commodity. They do a great job. They're here and willing to help. If we can provide additional offerings here on campus where we know our students can be successful because we have a proven track record for that, why aren't we doing that? As opposed to sending a student to a CCP class, you don't know what you're going to get with the professor all of the time. So how do we keep kids on campus and offer them more options to do that? In the last 4 years, it has cost over $200,000 for our students to take the CCP classes through taking the courses and the textbooks that go along with it. The idea of student-centered instruction for the district, how do we meet the needs of our kids here through increased options? Moving to a traditional schedule allows more options. Some of those classes could be year-long, some could be semester. And again, at all areas for a college prep student, to a kid who's just entering the workforce, to voc ed. So getting those opportunities to me is very important. And the student achievement piece, how do we make sure our students are successful? Research shows students on traditional schedules outperform students on a block schedule. Research done by the University of Georgia backs that up. And if you look at the top performing schools in Ohio, the top 10, none of them are on a block. They are all on a traditional schedule. So Another piece factoring into that is consistency with other districts. We do have students who transfer in or open enroll. A student transferring in during the school year from a traditional schedule, it makes it very difficult for the amount of material covered, for the credits. If you look at Northwest Ohio, there are only 2 public high schools on a block schedule besides us, Antwerp and Rossford. So students coming in, it presents a challenge. So that was the motivation of why we need to look at the traditional schedule. What are some of the benefits if we do go to that? Because it's, what does it provide our students? That's the whole motivation, providing them the best opportunity. For our special education students, the block schedule allows the district to meet specifically designed instruction time needs. So you have to set time aside for students that are in special ed, and it's very challenging to make that a reality. It's a legal obligation, the block. It's very difficult. Some of our students with special needs are better able to focus with the shorter period. Many of them need material broken down into smaller sections, so a shorter time period in class could be beneficial to them. There's the benefit of aligning with our middle school schedule, the ability to share staff, to allow some of our advanced 8th grade students to begin taking high school courses, and to align our lunch periods to better serve our students. In the area of academics and curriculum, there are a number of factors that come into play. One's that opportunity for new courses. Again, both for college-bound students and students who are just going to enter the workforce. A few that would fit in, an honors English language arts for 8th graders. Financial math for students who don't want to take trigonometry or calculus. Jazz band, AP US government and politics. Introduction to agriculture for 8th grade students to get them started early who want to go into that program. I don't want to go through the whole list there. I put it in your board packet, the number of courses. We will get that out. There are courses in every department in the high school that could be added and will be if there is interest in them. The traditional schedule eliminates breaks in continuous instruction. What I mean by that is it concerns me where a student, say, is taking Spanish 1 first semester of the school year. They may not have Spanish 2 until next year. So they'll go the second semester and the summer away from that subject. Again, to me, that is not ideal. We have students who don't have continuity with the core class, like in English. They may have English first semester, not pick, say English 9, may not take English 10 until their sophomore year. So there's a break because of the block schedule. State testing. The state doesn't recognize block scheduling for their testing schedule. So we'll have students who need to take an end of course exam who have that course first semester. State testing doesn't happen until March or April. So they've been done with the class January, February, part of March or all of March into April, where they're not connected to that material, but they haven't been tested on it yet. So to me, that provides a disadvantage to our students. A traditional schedule with more periods allows for opportunities for instructional supports, the SDI, study hall, enrichment opportunities during the school day. So we can build that in so that there are breaks. So I know one concern I've heard from students is, with the block schedule, there's more time to get work done. That opportunity is not eliminated by moving to a traditional schedule. The impact of absences on students. Students who face extended absences are less impacted under a traditional schedule. So now you're getting a double period a day. I think of our COVID circumstances, if a student is required to quarantine for 14 days, they're really missing 28 days of instruction, not just the 14. Because you're getting double the content each day. Instructional time, a traditional schedule allows for increased instruction time during the school year, approximately 15 hours. So you've actually got more time with the teachers. And then again, I look at students who are absent, but you factor in calamity days, which typically happen second semester. If we're out because of weather for any extended period, we're not missing double the time. Adolescent attention span, if you do any research on that, teenagers' average attention span is 22 minutes. We're in block classes now for almost 9. So that shorter breaks in mixing things up fits their attention span better. And then I kind of mentioned what transfers in, the student transfers, mid-year transfers, that lost instructional time and the credits do not align because we're on the block and most are coming from traditional unless they're coming from Rossford or Antwerp. So that is a little bit on why we're looking at the traditional schedule and, the benefits to our students. I'd be happy to answer any questions. There's a lot more information going to be coming out here in the next 2 months. The plan is to lay out, present to the board in December, the full plan of what this looks like, sample schedules, the courses that would be offered, and all of it. So we are working through the process, but also meeting with the teachers to hear their concerns and address them on the front end. Any questions?
You've already talked to staff regarding the potential offerings. These are obviously.
Yeah, we talked to them, what classes would they like to teach that we don't offer that bring continuity into that department. So I guess by that, I mean not just a class that is odd, that doesn't fit with the rest of the curriculum. Yeah, these suggestions are from the administration and the teachers.
Did you take any from the survey from the community put on here, or?
As far as courses?
Yeah, what they would like to see added, or?
Because we didn't ask about a schedule, they just said, in their responses to talk about AP and then just courses in general. There were not specifics on there because we did not ask about specific classes.
Any further questions? Okay. Move on to district calendar, Mr. Swallow.
The calendar committee has laid out a draft calendar for public review that is on the agenda for the next 2 years. It is very consistent with what the past 2 years have been. Everything is shifted by 1 day. So we have this on here for informational purposes. Any public comment on the calendar, we will bring the calendar to the board for approval in December. So we'll note any changes and present them at the November meeting and ask for board approval for next year's calendar at the December meeting and tentatively approve a year out so families can plan vacations. It's nice for them to know. And the way the dates work, they're pretty much the same.
The same, their layout, the Friday and then the Monday, Tuesday, and.
In next month's board packet, depending on the input, I'll put a more complete version of this with the months and days all highlighted. So this is the skeletal framework of the key dates.
Are we looking at approving 2 years simultaneously?
We would tentatively approve the second year.
Okay.
Not that it couldn't, the board could change it the following year if something happened.
Typically, we've just done 1 year at a time.
Correct.
Okay. I'm certainly not opposed to getting the dates out there. I mean, graduation, all that stuff takes a lot of planning.
Looking at the schedule change, looking at these calendars, does that change our student days and hours at all?
It does not.
So none of that will change our hours that we run by now?
Well,
Okay. Okay. Any further questions or? All right, we'll move on to Angela.
Don't have a whole lot going on, so I'll be quick on this one. The security cameras, we had some issues a few weeks back. We lost a couple switches that powered some of our security cameras. Habitat came out and replaced those switches and got everything back up online. Pixelot is in and running. We got them through the network so that they're all good to go with that. The gentlemen are here working on fire panels. I know that's not normally technology stuff, but because they integrate in with the technology, they've come in and we've gotten the fire panels. They're scheduling those and getting them, configured. I received an email this afternoon from a company out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Second Life Mac. This summer, we removed a bunch of the desktops in the teachers' classrooms in the high school and middle school, and we also updated their laptops. I received an email this afternoon stating that they would be sending us a check for a little over $14,000 for all of the iMacs and laptops that we sent them over the summer. So that was a welcome surprise. We've been waiting for that to come through, and it was nice to see that. I think Tony said that they did the NWEA mapping. That's been completed. We're gearing up for the third grade reading guarantee and getting ready for the end of course for the high school students coming in on December. That's all I've got.
Yeah, quick question,
Sure.
and I'm not sure if this is technology related or not. I had saw something on Twitter where our graduates continue to get emails from the school.
Okay.
They're continuing to get the random emails that I know I get as a parent. I'm assuming the students get it. I just didn't know if there was a way that we.
I was gonna say, is there something, I don't have a high schooler yet in school, but I'm getting all of Dan's correspondence as a parent. So I don't know if something's messed up on the email list.
You can take a look at that.
And then, I don't know, the tweet went something along. I've been out of school for over a year now. Why does Evergreen keep sending me emails? So
I'd
didn't
be
know what
interested to
was
know
on
whether
the
they're
list.
actually still trying to utilize their school email accounts or whether
I
that's
don't
through
know.
Power School.
Okay, I don't know. Like I said, I saw it and just didn't know if it was something that would be easily addressed or not. So
I believe we have shut down all of their school issued email accounts. I'm not
Okay.
sure why they'd be still maintaining those.
thank you.
The stuff from Dan is probably through Remind, and now that Remind syncs with Power School, it may be pulling your name in from somewhere. We would have to look, but I believe Dan does everything through Remind.
Okay.
So we'll have to look at that. More than likely, it's something there that's causing that.
Okay.
Nothing else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
You're welcome.
Mr. Samola.
Just 2 items to highlight for the board. We continue to employ the COVID protocols that allowed us to return to school in person. This week, we're at the end of the first quarter of the school year. We've had no major outbreaks up to this point. With the increased number of cases in Fulton and Lucas counties here recently, again, that has not significantly affected us. We are very lucky and happy that that is our situation, and we hope that continues. On October 7th and 8th, the district held parent-teacher conferences. Parents to attend face-to-face through Zoom or phone conference. If any parents did not get a chance to attend conferences, they can still reach out and teachers will connect with them. I said the first 9 weeks comes to a close on October 23rd. Grades will be finalized next week and available then for families for their quarter grades. All 3 school buildings will be having Spirit Weeks this week or next for students to show school spirit. They'll have the opportunity to participate in various themed days each week. The ACT test was offered at the high school on October 6th. Approximately 72 10th to 12th grade students registered to take the test here at the school and did so. On October 14th, 24 students in grades 10 and 11 took the PSAT assessment. The test consists of math, language, writing, and reading sections. Scores from the PSAT are used to determine eligibility and qualification for National Merit Scholarship Program and an opportunity for various scholarships. So that is great. On November 3rd and 4th, our 3rd grade students will be administered the 3rd grade reading test for English language arts. This assessment measures content standards for the end of the school year. Additionally, it is also used to determine whether a student meets the requirements for that 3rd grade reading guarantee. So it is the testing season now, and then again at the end of the year. Any questions?
No. Any board members with questions or concerns?
Hey, here, real quick. With basketball season getting here, are we set up for the live stream?
That is the Pixel app that Angela mentioned. Yeah, the camera is up and I am told is ready to go.
It's working for volleyball currently, so yes.
Okay. This time we need a motion for the members of the Evergreen Local Board of Education, superintendent, and guests to go into executive session for the following reasons. Matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes.
So moved.
Support.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Vaculet?
Yes.
Mr. Murray? Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer?
Yes, motion carries. There will be no business after the executive session. So if any of you guys are high school students that are here for Mr. Blanchard, you can give Mr. Samola your papers.
Mr. Curtis,
Oh, Mr. Curtis didn't show up. Okay, Mr. Curtis is hiding over here. You can give him your papers. Otherwise, everybody have a good night.
No, they're not. I thought they were really large.